Well, if it isn't yet another ultimate guide to surviving the wilderness, because clearly, we all need to know how to start a fire in 10 minutes or less. I mean, what's next? A tutorial on how to braid your own shoelaces in record time. This video better not stink worse than my bog after a rainstorm, or I will be croaking in disappointment. So grab your marshmallows, folks, because we're diving into this Firestarter fiasco. And hey, if you like watching me squirm through the absurdity of the internet, make sure to subscribe and like. Who knows, maybe this will be the one survival hack that actually impresses this old toad. Spoiler alert, I am not holding my breath. Let's get to it. The classic what moment. It's like the universal expression of confusion. And honestly, I'm right there with you. What are we even looking at? Is this a matchbox or a prop from a low-budget horror film? I can't tell if this is a survival tip or a setup for a disaster. If this is how we're starting a fire, I'd rather just sit in my bog and wait for the sun to come out. At least then I wouldn't have to deal with whatever this is. Oh look, we've graduated from the to-a-hand demonstration. Is this a survival video or a tutorial on how to tie your shoelaces? If I wanted to watch someone fumble with string, I'd just go back to my bog and watch the spiders. Seriously, what's the point here? If this is supposed to be a fire starting technique, I'm not seeing the flames, just a lot of hand waving. Let's hope this gets more exciting, or I might just croak in boredom. Finally, some action with that tape. I mean, if we're going to start a fire, we might as well use every household item available, right? Next, they'll be telling us to use bubble gum and a shoelace. But hey, if this actually works, I might have to reconsider my entire approach to survival. Still, I can't shake the feeling that this is just a fancy way to make a mess. Let's see if this tape trick leads to anything more than just sticky fingers. Here we go again with the mystery object. Is this a fire starter or a prop for a bizarre cooking show? I can't help but feel like I am watching a magician reveal their worst trick. If this is supposed to ignite a flame, I'd rather just rub two sticks together and hope for the best. At this point, I'm half expecting it to turn into a snack instead of a survival tool. Let's see if this leads to anything remotely useful, or if it's just another wild goose chase. Finally, a knife and some actual action. Now we're getting somewhere. If this is the moment where we turn that mysterious object into something useful, I might just crack a smile. Though don't hold your breath. But seriously, if you're going to start slicing things up, let's hope it's not just for show. I'm still waiting for the grand reveal of how this all ties into fire starting. If this ends up being a culinary disaster instead of a survival hack, I'll be less than impressed. Now we're cooking literally. Looks like we've finally got some flames going. If those little white things are what I think they are, this might actually be a decent fire starting method. But let's not get too excited just yet. I've seen plenty of miracle hacks that fizzle out faster than a damn match. If this turns into a full-blown campfire, I might just have to admit that this video has some merit. But if it's just smoke and mirrors, well, I'll be back to my bog in no time. Well, would you look at that? We've got ourselves a flame. This little contraption actually worked. I'm almost impressed. Almost. It's about time we saw some results instead of just endless thus. If this can light a fire in the wild, I might just have to give it a begrudging nod of approval. But let's not forget, it's still a long way from roasting marshmallows. If this is the best we can do, I'll stick to my trusty old matches. Well, there it is, a flame. I'll give credit where it's due. This little trick actually produced fire. But let's not get too carried away. Just because it works doesn't mean I'm ready to throw away my matches. And that's subscribe for more, be it classic. Nothing like a little self-promotion to cap off a survival lesson. If you want more of this, be my guest, but I'll be over here, keeping it simple in my bog. Well, we've just endured yet another so-called ultimate guide to fire starting. My expectations were as low as they could go. Did they get met? Surprisingly, yes and no. It took longer than 10 minutes to find an actual flame. But lo and behold, they pulled it off. Kudos, I suppose, for proving that even a woodsy toad like me can be slightly surprised on occasion. We started with a prop that looked like it came out of a bad horror flick, stumbled through a whole lot of hand movements, and finally ended up creating a fire that might just ignite some hope. Or at least warm up a couple of marshmallows. But let's face it, just because they lit a match doesn't mean I'm ready to toss away my trusty old lighters. So, for those of you who love your survival tips wrapped up in a neat little bow, maybe this one's for you. But for the skeptics like me, well, it's still a long way from roasting marshmallows with ease. And don't forget, if you enjoyed watching me grumble and grimace through this Firestarter fiasco, make sure to subscribe and like the video. Who knows, maybe next time we'll learn how to make a gourmet meal from rotting leaves. Now that would be something to croak about.